again. Hey everyone, this is Madison with Health by Ratio. I and my team of physical therapists and functional movement coaches and functional health coaches work together online with our clients in helping them not only rehabilitate away from chronic pains and injuries, but also pursue their fitness and health goals on the functional strength side by reconditioning their bodies back to full ranges of stable motion. And so our whole mission is to teach people on how to correct their bodies from home and how to use everything from mobility techniques to exercises to nutritional components and mental and emotional side of the health journey to use a very holistic approach of getting people out of those injuries and pains and moving into functional health. So that is what we do. And so today's topic, we're actually covering the nutrition side, or a bit of the nutrition side of our program. And kind of the impetus for this topic this week was from a conversation that I was having with one of our clients right now, who started with us at the end of 2020. I think they started it was right around November or so. And basically, over the last 4 months has been doing incredible. They're a runner who is dealing with everything from plantar fasciitis to some pretty chronic medial knee pain. So the inside of their knee was always sore when they were running. Also was having some kind of like hip bursitis-y type issues, and then that was trickling up into some intermittent lower back pain. Well, since starting their program in in November of last year, and since then they've been doing awesome. Like their just body almost responded instantaneously, and they've been running a lot more comfortably and been less and less in pain and all good stuff. This has been awesome, with one exception, and the one exception was right around end of December and early January, and felt like in that moment that they had taken this big step backwards and were nervous if they had hurt their body and jacked it up, because all of a sudden their aches and pains started showing up and then some, and some spots started getting even more sore than what they were used to even prior to starting the program. Like, it was a big shell shock. They were like, oh my gosh, this whole body is feeling really, really upset right now. And when we talked to them about it, we were saying, like, look, it's the holidays right now. I know that you haven't been as on top of your physical side of your program over the last couple of weeks, so that's going to make a little bit of a factor in how your body responds. But you also, over the last couple of weeks, it's been the holidays. You're probably not eating normal right now, and you're also probably drinking a little bit more than normal because you got more time off, kind of thing. And maybe you're not only just eating different things, you're also having like a few more sweets than normal. And then maybe you also have to factor in like the mental emotional sides of family and around holidays, and then maybe changing up your sleep patterns and all that kind of stuff plays in a role, and this is going to potentially create some inflammation. So we ended up connecting around that early kind of January marker and kind of recapping all of this and saying, all right, cool, let's get back on track. Let's let your body get back into rhythm, and let's see how it responds in the next couple of weeks. And lo and behold, she got right back onto it and was feeling amazing by the end of the next couple of weeks. Each day she got more and more into her routine. Body was feeling back to normal, and then on our last reassessment has just been feeling amazing. So we had this big talk just this past week on reflecting on that whole component of nutrition, because when we were going through all the potential factors in what were causing her to inflame up, the thing that she felt like was the biggest adjustment for her around that time of the year was her nutrition. She was like, yeah, my sleep was changing a little bit. Yeah, we had some different like stress stuff with family, but for the most part, it was a pretty happy holiday season. Was pretty well rested, but yeah, my nutrition went totally off the rails for that period of time, and that's the biggest factor that I think maybe inflamed me there. And so we're talking about it and saying, yeah, this, like, it's amazing how much the nutrition plays a role in how you physically feel on a daily basis, and it's specifically for the reason of how much your body gets inflamed from our nutritional habits. And inflammation from nutrition is incredibly common. It's actually not necessarily unhealthy for our bodies to inflame around what we eat. There's some great things that happen from inflammation and how our body responds to that. The issue is chronic inflammation. It's if we are eating foods every day of every week or most days of every week that basically are chronically keeping our bodies a little bit more inflamed, a little bit more inflamed, a little bit more inflamed. And when you have an abundance of those foods all of a sudden that your body isn't used to, and you have this big out of balance experience where now we're, like I said, holidays, you're eating more sugar, or maybe eating less vegetables, or eating foods that we wouldn't normally eat as well, drinking differently, and all that kind of stuff. Well, then all of a sudden we have way more inflammation levels in our body. And how does that affect us physically? Well, most of us think, well, when I eat something that inflames me, I'm going to feel bloated. I'm going to have my gut's going to feel heavier. I might gain some weight, or I might waterlog more, or something along those lines. Like, it's going to be in the sense of having a more of just like an uncomfortable response. Some of us also might associate that with getting a low energy, a little bit lethargic, and feeling foggy headed, those kinds of things. Those are kind of the typical symptoms that we think of, but we don't necessarily always associate our inflammatory nutrition with how our body physically feels. And this is how we can kind of logically think about this. Even for like our client that was doing really well prior to the holidays, their body by and large had gotten very functionally healthy. They're like, even in that like 6-week stint or so prior to the holidays, they'd done a lot of great work, and their physical body was in a really great place. Now, the plantar fascia area, the knee that was a little bit tweaked, the hip that was getting aggravated, the back that was getting irritated, those things were feeling a lot better, but that doesn't mean that they were 100%. Not like they were completely healed and gone. They just were in a place where they had healed a good percentage of the way, so they were feeling a lot better. And the way that our client had started teaching their body how to move correctly, they were no longer irritating those tissues anymore. So they weren't doing any movements that are causing those tissues to break down further. So that's why they were feeling better and they weren't noticing them anymore, and they were able to run and able to get through their daily activities and feel like $1,000,000. But again, these tissues still needed some more time to heal and get back to 100%. And then they started eating differently around the holidays, and they started inflaming their body. And now we have all this inflammation that starts showing up around our body, not just around the gut. This is going to be a physiological response that affects the whole system. The whole body's an interconnected web. There's nothing that isn't connected to another thing. So when you have inflammation that's impacting that gut, and maybe impacting that brain and getting you a little bit brain foggy, well, there's everything else in between that is going to have more inflammation around it as well. And the weak links in the chain that aren't necessarily completely healed to where they need to be just yet, they're going to be the things that inflame up. They're going to be the things that get impacted the most. So even if they are 70, 80% healed, and because they're not getting aggravated, they're feeling much better on the daily basis, that doesn't mean that if we cause some level of increased inflammation, whether that's from the foods that we eat or the things that we're drinking, or even our mental emotional states, having incredible levels of mental emotional stress and anxiety that create more cortisol in our bodies, whatever. If we have an inflammatory response, it's going to impact the weak links in the chain relative to all the other links in the chain. It's going to impact those weak links even more so. And we're going to feel those joint sorenesses. We're going to feel that those the nervy pinches that we weren't experiencing before. And it has nothing to do with how we're moving. It has nothing to do with that we're too weak or we're too tight or something like that. It literally is just because we inflame more, and the weak links in our chain are the things that are getting impacted. So the nutrition can be a huge component when it comes to how this physical body feels on a daily basis. And it was very eye-opening for our client who was like, man, I was doing all the right stuff, yet still my body was getting achy and sore around that time. But as soon as I got back on track with my nutrition, everything felt great, and I was moving back to par. So what we talked about was, how do you pay attention to this? How can you self-monitor if your body is eating the foods that it wants, or if we're eating too much of the foods that it doesn't want? Well, there are some kind of symptoms that we can pay attention to after we eat, and really within the first like hour or two after we eat, but even these symptoms can last up to 24 to 48 hours depending. So the first thing is If you consume something and you immediately start to feel over bloated, like let's say you feel like you consume something, it feels like there's a cinder block sitting in your stomach. Okay, that's a inflammatory marker that is showing you, all right, whatever you just ate, that tub of grease, whatever, that feels like it's filled up your whole ball, your stomach with a bowling ball. Okay, yeah, that probably was a bit inflammatory. That your body didn't like it. The other thing is that bloating puffiness sensation, and we often can see it. We wake up the next morning and our face looks puffy, and it's stuff that like normally we can only realize because we look at ourselves in the mirror all day, every day, or I should say throughout our days, every day. So we can see the little differences. Maybe somebody else might not be able to tell it as much, but we can tell it. Okay, that puffy feeling. All right, that means something inflamed us. I'm holding on to maybe a little bit more water right now, whatever it is. The other thing is that brain fog or low energy. You feel lethargic, you're feeling brain fog, you're feeling like you're not as focused as you could be. Okay, think about what you just ate. What was that? Maybe that is impacting your energy levels and your focus abilities based off of what you just consumed. And there are a couple of other factors, like you can also look at your bowel movements and see what the consistency of it is. That can be kind of gross, but I mean, it's a very good indication of where you're at. I think it's the three F's: fat, fluffy, and floats. Or is it runny or no consistency or whatever? Like if it's not fat, fluffy, and floats, then there's a good chance that something's going on in your microbiome that isn't processing your foods very well, and so there's potentially some inflammatory nutrition going on in there. So all these are indications that and another one is if your body is immediately hungry right afterwards, even if you ate a certain amount of food, like if you ate a good quantity of something and you finish that and within the next 30-40 minutes you're like starving for something else or you're craving something else, okay, there's probably an inflammatory response there that's causing your body to want to crave something else for it. So all these are good little ideas that tell you, okay, maybe what I'm eating inflamed me a little bit right there. Versus the other end of the spectrum is, do you feel really healthy and lean? Do you feel full and satiated but not like over bloated? Do you feel like you have good focus and energy and all those kinds of things? Those are good markers that your body really liked whatever that last meal was or that snack was or that drink was that you consumed. And if you can pay attention to the things that make your body feel better versus what doesn't make your body feel so good, then you're going to find that you're going to start getting pointed more toward the things we already know that are healthy for us, right? Your body's going to say, yeah, I really like those vegetables. When you eat those, I feel pretty good with it. And I really like when you have those good quality protein sources. That's good. You eat too much of it. If you eat like a whole pound of chicken, maybe that's a little bit too much. But you have like a good serving of it, that's pretty good. Or a good serving of fish. Awesome. Okay, so we got a good balance and some good quality protein. Body really likes those healthy fats. Get some nuts, get some olive oil, get some coconut oil, whatever. Those healthy fats. Oh, okay, I'm operating pretty well. You start to see that these things that are often talked about in your nutrition being prevalent in your own body. It's your body saying, hey, I like this. Now, that doesn't mean that everybody eats the same and should eat the same. Like, I might do really well with almonds. That my body might really like almonds. You might not. Your body might like walnuts more, or a combination of a bunch of nuts. So maybe you're not eating very many almonds, and that is a staple of my diet. But that doesn't mean the overriding principle of nuts, and if you don't have a nut allergy, nuts and seeds are a good source of healthy fats that most of us should be eating a little bit of. To a certain extent, you eat too much of anything, it's going to inflame you in the wrong direction, but like a balance of it, that's really good. So those are some markers that your own body tells you each day, and you can easily pay attention to it. I recommend a very simple kind of food log you can do is just track what you ate and how much of what you ate was in there. So like how many servings, if you had a salad, how many servings of romaine lettuce was made up of that salad? Was it a half a serving? Was it a full serving? What'd you have? Then what'd you add on top of it? Did you have a serving of tomatoes on it? Did you throw some cucumber on it? Did you add some carrots to that thing? What did you throw, some nuts or seeds or whatever? Just record like how many servings it is that you had of that thing. And then pay attention to how you feel afterwards and mark it down, notate it. Okay, I felt satiated, felt good energy, felt clear-headed, was all that good. Awesome. That was the thing that my body really enjoyed? Or did I feel lethargic? Did I feel hungry? Did I feel brain fogged or whatever? Okay, well then that's something that maybe I need to look to see if I eat that meal again in the next few days and I feel the same way, maybe that's something that I need to change up or maybe not eat as frequently kind of thing. So like meaning maybe I need to change up that salad. Maybe I didn't have enough vegetables on it. Maybe I just threw a bunch of croutons and dressing and tomatoes and I called it a great salad, but actually that consisted of just a little bit of leafy greens and then a bunch of stuff that wasn't vegetables. Okay, so maybe I got to change up my salad a little bit so that I have the right breakdown of stuff on that. Okay, that might be a component. Maybe I need to alter how much I ate of it. Maybe I had like a half a serving of vegetables with dinner and I had this huge serving of potatoes with dinner, and it's not to say that potatoes are just bad for you period and you shouldn't eat them. Just maybe we shouldn't be having 2 potatoes with a half a serving of vegetables. Maybe we should be having 2 servings of vegetables and 1 potato. Okay, maybe that's how we need to break this down. But you can start to play around with what is inflaming you and what isn't, and get your body more of the things that keep it happy, so to speak. So these are the things that you can use to tell what's inflaming you and then how to respond to those things in giving your body more or less of those. And this is a huge component in our program throughout our health by ratio plan, because obviously nutrition is going to factor into how we recover. It talks about, we just talked about how it inflames us. Well, on the other end of the spectrum, the better we eat, the better the nutrients we have to heal the body and get it moving into the right direction as well. So the more we can go away from that chronically inflamed state and get us into a little bit more of anti-inflammatory, gut healthy nutrition, well, then our body is going to be generally happy. Now, again, this doesn't mean that you're never allowed to have foods that inflame you. Like that, it's just we don't want to have foods that inflame us a bunch every single day of the week. If we have them once or twice a week, that's okay. That's like a little bit of inflammation and then your body gets to recover. That's kind of like having a really good workout and then giving your body the appropriate rest in the following days to respond to that. So that's all good. So wanted to clarify that just because it inflames you doesn't mean you have to abstain from it altogether. It just means that you might have to find a little bit of a better balance so that it's not chronically inflaming you. And then, guys, beyond this, we actually literally have this is a program that we run off to the side of Health by Ratio, which Health by Ratio is holistic and very much focused on the actual physical way the body moves and reconditioning the body back to full range of stable motion. But as a side program to that, we actually have a full-blown lifestyle nutrition course that one of my colleagues, a functional health coach, Maura Kennedy, and I run, and we do them for month-long stints, and it's basically to spend a full month working hyper-focused on someone's nutrition plan, not for the purpose of giving them some crash diet or elimination diet or something like that. Like we don't try to get them into these extreme things that are unrealistic for them to maintain. Instead, what we try to do is work with them to figure out how they normally eat, key in on what things are probably inflaming them a little bit more than they want, or throwing their body a little bit more out of balance than they want. And then working to teach them on how they can make tweaks to their diet so that they still are eating the things that they enjoy, but having the right balance of the things that they enjoy. Or it might be that they're eating something that's totally fine for them. They're just not having a very good brand of it. They're having something that has a bunch of crappy preservatives and artificial sweeteners and bad oils in it and that kind of stuff. And if we can get them the same type of food that is just a different brand that uses all natural ingredients and organic sources and has good healthy fats and that kind of stuff, they can eat the same thing that they love. It's just going to be a much higher quality version of it that they can use to keep this body healthy. And so we work with them on making sustainable adjustments to their nutrition that they can maintain for decades and beyond kind of thing, as opposed to just crash diets and that kind of stuff. And we're launching our next round of that next week in March. We're going to be doing, for the month of March, we're going to be running through our lifestyle nutrition course. I think our kickoff call is going to be next Wednesday evening. We run them through a Facebook group, through a lifestyle nutrition course Facebook group. And if anybody's interested in that, if you guys want to find out a little bit more, if you want some help on the nutrition side, not necessarily just on like the physical component of your body, but you want to get some kind of nitty-gritty one-on-one coaching as well as group coaching on your nutrition, message me. Feel free to reach out and just send me a quick message. I'd be more than happy to give you the details on our lifestyle nutrition course. I think we're pricing it around $99 for the month. It's not super expensive, and gives you a lot of great resources beyond just that month. We continue to give you more content in terms of where you can get really good quality foods online, so you don't always have to rely on the stores and what they hold. You can get these things like through Amazon and Thrive Market and websites along those lines that will just deliver it right to your front door and make it nice and easy, as well as our favorite recipes and easy ways to cook even with a busy family and household and that kind of stuff. So yeah, if anyone's interested, feel free to message us. Or if you have any other questions on any topic on recovery and injury prevention or strength and conditioning, anything along those lines, and you want us to cover on a future live video, please message us. Let us know.